are you doing today? Do you feel like doing a little bit of DIYing with me? Come on in. Let's get started. So what do I have going on for you for today? Well, today I'm bringing to you my top 30 Christmas DIYs, and I'm gonna go so far as to say that the majority of them are using items that you can get from the Dollar Tree. So go pop some popcorn, put your feet up, and hopefully these 30 DIYs will inspire you to do some Christmas DIYing of your own. Let's get started. Yes, I did. I totally took stock in these plaques this year because I had so many amazing DIYs, holiday DIYs in store for you using them. Today you're gonna need 8 of them. I will tell you that you can order a case of these online and have them shipped to the store. That's what I did, so I didn't completely wipe the store out. For all 8, I'm gonna remove the embellishment just like I did here. We're not gonna throw those away because we're gonna need all 8 of them. I am also going to remove the twine and the staples, and surprise, surprise, I'm gonna use some Dollar Tree spackling to fill in those holes, smooth them out. I will tell you that this step for me ended up being unnecessary in the long run because of the method that I used to cover up these plaques. I'm gonna take 2 of the plaques, 2 of the 8 plaques, and using the embellishments, I'm gonna place some of this wood glue on there, and I am going to attach it to the 2 plaques in turn, connecting the 2 plaques together. This is a great alternative to using popsicle sticks. If you wanna use popsicle sticks, you can do that too. I'm gonna attach them on the front side of the plaques, the decorative side of the plaques, because why? The other side is a blank canvas, so why would we go through the hassle of trying to cover up the decorative side when we've got that blank canvas on the other side? Once I got these glued on, I am gonna take some masking tape, and just to really hold them in place so we have a nice tight fit, I'm gonna use some masking tape to just really keep everything in place. And I'm not even gonna remove the masking tape because nobody's gonna see it. You're gonna need 4 sets of 2 plaques that you've put together. Once you've got your 4 sets of 2 plaques attached, you're gonna take 2 of the 4 sets of 2. Oh my goodness, was that totally confusing? Using some Jenga blocks, we're gonna attach some Jenga blocks to the bottom edge and the top edge of this. I'm using a wood glue. When you're attaching your Jenga blocks, there's no need to make sure that they fit perfectly. If there's a little bit of extra space, that's okay. Just put as many blocks as you can from top to bottom. Right along that edge, you're gonna wanna line up those Jenga blocks with that bottom edge of the plaque, making it even, nice and smooth, no hanging over, no indenting. You just really wanna get it as close to that edge as you can. Once I've got that first row of Jenga blocks glued down, I'm gonna go in and put a second row down, leaving just about a 1/4 inch gap between the 2 rows. And this gap is gonna be wide enough that a plaque would fit in it. And so like I said, we're gonna go ahead and place a second row just like so. And this is just on the one side of the plaque. Once we've done this side, yep, we're gonna head to the top side since this is the bottom side of the plaques, and we're gonna do the same thing, adding 2 rows of Jenga blocks the same way with that 1/4 inch gap between the 2 rows. And so this is what you should be left with. These rows on the top and the bottom on the back side of the 2 sets of plaques that you glued together. You're gonna need 2 sets of these. This is 4 of the 8 plaques that we used to make these, just to be clear. The other 2 sets of plaques should look just like this, where we just glued the 2 plaques together, no extra Jenga blocks are needed. Now it's time to decorate. My favorite part. Now that we've got the engineering part of this done, the fun part begins. I'm gonna give all 4 of these plaques a good coating of some Mod Podge. You know where I'm going with this when I bust out the Mod Podge. Yep, I'm gonna cover all 4 plaques with this black gingham / buffalo check fabric that I picked up at Walmart by Create It. I got a full yard for $6. When covering these plaques, 2 of the plaques that have the Jenga blocks, you're gonna wanna cover the Jenga blocks as well. So when you're cutting that fabric, make sure you cut it big enough that you can cover those Jenga blocks, and you want it to go over the side of the Jenga blocks over to the back of it. We want full coverage. We don't want those Jenga blocks to show. We want them covered with the fabric. Again, I'm going to use this fabric and do all 4 sets of plaques. And just so I'm clear, once you get that fabric on, you are gonna wanna do a second coat of Mod Podge over the top of the fabric to really get it adhered onto the board. This probably sounds repetitive because you all have seen me cover so many plaques with fabric, but for those of you who are new to my channel, who are tuning in because you saw this amazing DIY that I was doing and you wanted to know how to do it, once the Mod Podge is good and dry, you're gonna wanna give it a couple hours to dry. You're gonna wanna take a straight edge razor using the plaque as a guide to cut off that excess fabric. By doing that, you're gonna get a nice clean cut. Scissors really aren't the way to go. This is definitely the way to go. You can see here how I did the fabric on the back side. You've got 2 sets of rows of Jenga blocks there. You only need to do the row, cover the row with the fabric that is closest to the edge of the plaque, because that's gonna be the row that actually shows at the end of our DIY. And again, we don't want the Jenga blocks to show, we want the fabric to show. So that's why we're covering them with the fabric. Yes. When cutting that excess fabric off of the Jenga blocks, you wanna make sure and just try to keep, again, that first row covered as much as you can. If a little bit of the Jenga block shows, it's okay. We're gonna cover it up with some distressing here. Of course I'm gonna distress this, but for the most part, you really just kind of wanna disguise the fact that we used the Jenga blocks, and you'll see why here in a second. My favorite means of distressing my DIYs is using some of Tim Holtz Distress ink in the color of Walnut Stain. This is an ink pad that you can get at just about any hobby store. You can even find it on Amazon. If you're looking to find it there, you can find the link to it in my Amazon store in the description box below. Because we have a lot of distressing to do for this project, we've got 4 pretty large panels that I'm going to be distressing. I'm going with a larger brush. Just by taking the brush and running it onto the ink pad itself, you are then going to get some ink on your brush, which you can then use to distress your DIY with. And you can see how I'm doing it. By using a circular motion, you're gonna get more of that softer look versus the strokes, the brush strokes look. And so like I said, I am going to distress all 4 of my panels. Here is a quick look at what these 2 panels should look like once they're done. I did pick up 4 of these style plaques here as well. Actually, I got 2 round ones and 2 of the more square ones because my Dollar Tree was kind of short on them. I removed the embellishment, and you are going to want to fill in all the holes with my favorite thing, spackling. Yes. Then using a combination of some of Waverly's Crimson and Hello Hobby's this Cafe Brown, I'm gonna mix it to make kind of a rustic red because the Crimson Red was just a bit too bright for my taste. You know me, I like to mute out those colors using some brown. So I'm gonna give all 4 of the plaques that are this style a good couple coats of, yes, this rustic red paint that I made. You so know if I'm gonna be distressing those 4 panels, we've gotta distress these plaques too, right? Not only do I like to distress these just because it gives it more of that rustic feel, but it also gives it a bit of dimension, some depth. And on this plaque, I am going to be placing this vinyl decal that I cut using my Cricut. This is a vinyl decal that I will show you here in a second that is available in Linda's Etsy store. We made a couple of different decals for this DIY, so you've got some choices here. I'm gonna go ahead and just apply this to this first plaque. Now, for this DIY, I said I did 4 plaques, but really I did 3 because I was thinking, you know what? I don't need a 4th plaque for the back of my tree. And so I just wanted to add plaques to the 3 panels, the 2 sides and the front. I decided to add a vinyl decal to all 3 plaques. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. These are the vinyl decals that Linda has designed that, again, are available in her Etsy store for instant digital download for $3. So if you've got a Cricut, you're gonna buy the instant digital download it to your computer, upload it to Cricut, and cut it out with your vinyl. If you don't and you wanna have her cut and send them to you with free shipping, it's gonna cost you $6. You can find the link to Linda's Etsy store, guess where? Yes, in the description box below. I'm all about options, alternatives. A couple Dollar Tree alternatives would be these wood pressed words. These are a decent size that would fit perfectly on the front of our crate panels, or these wood, I guess, saying wall decor pieces. These are a decent size too. That would be another great alternative to vinyl. And these 3 plaques that I did not 4, sorry about that, I'm just gonna place right in the center of each of the 3 panels, the front and the 2 sides, using some hot glue. This so needs more distressing. There's never enough distressing for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some distressing, just kind of framing out this frame, just like you see me doing here. Yes, the more distressing, the better. That's what I say. Makes it look more rustic. I was not feeling the edges. The edges of the panels were bothering me. It felt unfinished. It felt sloppy. So I went and dug into my Dollar Tree ribbon stash, and we've all seen this ribbon at Dollar Tree, and I thought this would be the perfect finishing touch to add to these edges to finish them off. And I couldn't be happier with the way this looks. Of course, I figured out a way to add some burlap and twine into this DIY, right? This ribbon was perfect. I didn't do it along the sides, but I did do it along all 4 plaques on the top and the bottom edge. Now let's put this together. It's so easy. So we added the Jenga blocks here with that gap. We're gonna take the plaque that doesn't have the Jenga blocks, yes, and it's gonna slide right in between these 2 plaques, attaching them together. How amazing is that? Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I love this. Yes, so we're gonna have 1 plaque that has the Jenga blocks in the front of our box, 1 in the back, and the 2 panels that don't have Jenga blocks are gonna slide right into those, giving us a DIY tree crate box. Let's go take a look. What a fun alternative to a tree skirt, right? Who would have thought you can make your own DIY Christmas tree crate box using Dollar Tree plaques, and it turns out this amazing. Is it getting old yet that I'm using Dollar Tree plaques in my DIYs? I love to use them. Today I'm using these Valentine's Day ones that I had in my stash. I love these because they've got that ridge on the front. For today's DIY, I am in fact going to be using the front of the plaque because of that ridge instead of the blank canvas on the back. I am going to remove both of the hearts, and I am not going to discard them and throw them away because they're pretty cool hearts. We can use them in another DIY, so put them in your stash. Because I'm using 2 plaques for this DIY, I need to attach them, and to do that, I like to use popsicle sticks when I don't have anything else to use. So using that wood glue by Crazy Glue, that's the glue I'm gonna use. Now, Dollar Tree from time to time has plaques that are about this size in length and width. If you can find one, get it. Again, I liked the front of these plaques. I like those grooves, those ridges that are in the front of this, and so I thought it'd be kind of a nice characteristic, add some personality to this DIY. Once I got the popsicle sticks glued on, I am gonna go back over these sticks with some masking tape just to really hold those plaques together so I get a nice tight fit. I'm not even gonna remove the masking tape. I'm gonna leave it, and it's gonna help give it stability. This step is nothing new. You all see the spackling in my hand. I am in fact going to fill in these holes because they are pesky. I wish they would just stop putting holes in the plaques. Just staple the twine to the back. Save us a step. But because they don't, we're gonna go ahead and use some spackling, and it gets the job done. I am also going to be incorporating these wood rulers. Yes, this comes in a 2-pack by Jot that you can also get from Dollar Tree. I'm gonna go ahead and put some wood glue on the flat side of it because I kind of want to utilize the front side. Now, I know I didn't take the ruler part off, those plastic pieces, but I will do that later on. I don't know why I didn't do it initially, but you see what I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and glue the rulers on each end of this plaque, and this is just gonna give this sled some character. Those wood pieces that are on a sled. So you're gonna put it maybe 2.5 inches from the top and 2.5 inches from the bottom. And again, I'm gonna utilize my masking tape to hold these rulers down flat onto these plaques because as I tried to glue it, one side would pop up, the other side would go down. And so I just thought, heck, I'm gonna put some masking tape, let this dry overnight, and we'll be golden. Oh yeah, and these rulers have holes too. So we're gonna wanna fill those in as well, with the spackling, of course. I am loving that you can get wood slats like this at Dollar Tree now. I've seen them in a few different sizes. For today's DIY, I picked up 4 of the 12-inch slats. On the back side of these plaques, I'm gonna place a line of glue on each side of the long side of the plaques, like you see me doing here. And this is gonna be the bottom side of our sled, those wood feet or the wood rails. I don't know. That's what this is gonna be using these, yeah, can I say it again? Wood slats, the two 12-inch ones. They're gonna hang past the plaques, which you want it to do because that's what a sled looks like, right? You'll see here in a second. I will tell you that I put this sled together at night before I went to bed, so that way everything could dry overnight. It is now the next morning, everything is good and dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove the masking tape and the plastic strips that are on the rulers that I, again, don't know why I didn't remove in the beginning, but nonetheless, it comes out the same anyway. Once I've got all these pieces removed, I am gonna go in with some sandpaper and smooth out the spackling on the plaques themselves and the rulers. I didn't tell you, for this DIY, you're gonna need 8 Jenga blocks. With 4 of them, I'm gonna show you that you're just gonna put 2 of them together side by side, just like so, well, 2 sets of 2. But you'll see how we're gonna put this together because this is going to be the foot, maybe, of the sled. I really don't know what you call it. Somebody's gonna tell me in the comments, I'm sure. Once I've got the 2 pieces together, just like you see here, 1 set of 2 is gonna get glued right down here. And the other set I'm gonna put at the top, but I'm gonna use a good glob of hot glue because I wanna place the second set at an angle. And so it'll kind of give us the feel of what the end of a sled looks like. So you can see how I'm doing it here. That hot glue is gonna fill in the hole a bit. And so you're gonna have to hold it for a little bit until the hot glue dries. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you want it to stay in place and stay at the angle it's at, you're just gonna have to be patient. Put those patient pants on. And so this is what you should be left with. I did it on both sides and I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. Yes, I am. Using some of Waverly's Steel. This is a chalk paint that I had in my stash. I'm gonna give this sled a good coating of this. I started off with the gray because this is red, and I figured the gray would kind of mute out the red before I go in for my second coat with the white. If I started off with white, it was gonna take several coats of the white to cover the red, and so yeah, just kind of a trick of the trade. If you start off with gray or even a spray paint gray primer, you're gonna get a better outcome if you're gonna be painting something white. I wanna say it took 2 coats of gray paint to get the coverage that I got, and you can see that it still isn't full coverage, but it's gonna work. It muted out that red, and that was what I wanted it to do. Now, I'm gonna go in with one of my favorites, Waverly's chalk paint in the color of white. Yes, and I'm gonna go over that gray with the white. When I'm applying the white, I'm not looking for full coverage. I'm not looking for perfection because I'm gonna go in with some sandpaper anyway and sand through that white to bring back through the gray because I really wanna go for that weathered look. And for those rails on the bottom of the sled, I'm just gonna go in with some black. Why not? Okay, I kinda changed my mind. I decided instead of sanding to bring the gray through, I wanted to add the gray paint while the white paint is wet to give it more of that softer clouded look. And so I'm gonna go ahead and apply a second coat of the white paint while it's still wet. I'm gonna go in with that steel and just kind of dry brush stroke it. You don't want a lot of paint on there. And this is gonna give it a soft clouded look. So that way when I do go in with the sandpaper, I can soften it up even more. And it's honestly gonna be less sanding, if I'm being honest. And let the sanding begin. Yes, I am going to sand it like I said because you're only going to get that look of the edges coming out white like you see on the rulers through sanding. And so I do want to bring in some of that white, some of the other gray. I want to sand off those edges, maybe bring some of the wood through from the plaques. And so yeah, just take 5 minutes, some Dollar Tree sandpaper, a rougher grade because we've got a few coats of paint on here. And just sand away. Sand, sand, sand. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. Don't most sleds have a rope or something at the top of them? I think they do. Well, I'm gonna put one on mine, and I'm gonna do it using some of Dollar Tree's decorative nautical rope. By tying a knot in the rope and cutting it off right at the base there, we're gonna give the illusion that this rope is going through the wood. Pretty cool, huh? Then those knot stumps, yeah, that's what I'm gonna call them. I'm gonna put some hot glue right there, and we're gonna put it right here on the wood, and this is gonna make it look, yeah, just like I said, like the rope is going through the wood. You don't have to drill a hole. If you want to drill a hole, you totally can, but if you don't have a drill, you can do this. By hot gluing the rope to the inside, again, it is giving us that illusion. So I'm gonna do this on both sides. How stinking cute are these ice skate ornaments? Yep, from Dollar Tree. I thought that these would be the perfect addition to the bottom part of this sled. Fun fact, I grew up my whole life ice skating, every weekend taking ice skating lessons. It was something that I had a strong passion for, absolutely love it. And so when I saw these, they kind of had special meaning, and I thought that they'd be a fun piece to add to this. And of course, I am gonna finish off the top of this sled with, yes, none other than a twine bow. Dollar Tree has these amazing, what is this, a wood saying? Yeah, we'll call it a wood saying. These are by Crafter Square. They come in several different types. Yeah, why not? We've got Let It Snow, Merry and Bright, and Peace on Earth. Pick one of these and look it's gonna fit perfectly on the front of this sled as well. I debated putting this on initially, but I decided I was gonna use this Let It Snow for a different DIY. But look at this, if you painted it red and then put it on, it would pop, it would look amazing. But since I went with the vinyl, this Let It Snow is going for another DIY. I was just showing you that you could paint it red and showing you that it fit on the sled. Let's take a look at this sled. I love it, how fun is it? Quick, easy, budget friendly, and the outcome of this is amazing. Because this is a Christmas slide plaque DIY for Christmas, I'll be using this plaque. That is a summer plaque that I had in my stash. It's a bit too long, so I need to cut a bit off. Why is it too long? Because my slide plaque stand holder only fits the size that I'm cutting this plaque down to, unless you want your, I guess, sign to hang out over your stand, which I don't want to do. So I'm gonna cut this down, and just by using a safety blade, that's what I call it, and a ruler as a guide, by scoring it several times, the plaque itself, you're gonna be able to cut through these plaques fairly easily. Once you've done it a fair amount of times, you can kind of break the plaque and it'll just break apart right where you scored it. You are then going to want to take, yes, some sandpaper, because we want smooth edges, not rough ones. And to this plaque, I'm gonna be adding a fair amount of, yes, Mod Podge. Surprise, surprise, right? You all know where I'm going with this when I add Mod Podge to a plaque. Right behind it is going to be a fabric, and the fabric that I'm using today is this black and gray buffalo check that seems to be the theme for all my fall and harvest and Christmas DIYs. Picked up a couple yards of this at Walmart. I'm going to go ahead and put that on top of the Mod Podge. Once I get it nice and smoothed out, yep, I'm gonna go right over that fabric with another coat of Mod Podge, and this is really gonna adhere it onto the plaque. It's gonna stiffen that fabric, which is then in turn going to make it easier to cut that excess fabric off the sides. Here's something new. I'm gonna distress the edges of this plaque using some of Tim Holtz Distress ink in the color of, you guessed it, Walnut Stain. I know, I'm a creature of habit. I can't help it. Using an ink pad is my favorite way in which to distress something, because you can apply the ink with a softer brush and you're going to get that soft, subtle, distressed look along the edges. I am going to go a bit wider than I typically do on the edges of my plaque when distressing this plaque, because I am going to add some ribbon to this, and I wanted the distressing to come out beyond the ribbon itself. You know, I'm always looking for a way to incorporate either burlap or twine into my DIYs, especially those Christmas ones. And so for this plaque, I love this burlap ribbon by Crafter Square that you can get at Dollar Tree. So this is what I'm going to finish the edges off with. When applying this ribbon though, you are only going to do 3 sides, not that bottom edge of the plaque, because that's the edge that's going to slide into our stand.
And so you don't want to make it thicker by adding ribbon because then it's not going to fit in your stand. When you do apply the ribbon to the sides, you want to kind of start your ribbon about 1/4 of an inch up from that bottom edge because again, we're sliding it into the slide plaque and you don't want ribbon on that bottom edge. We've all seen these wood saying plaques at Dollar Tree. Some of you may be saying, I like these, but what am I going to do with them other than paint them? Well, today I am going to paint it using some of that rustic red that I love to use. This is a mixture of Waverly's Crimson and some of Hello Hobby's brown, and that is an easy way to kind of mute out a bright color and give it that rustic feel. And so that's what I'm going to give this plaque a good coating of, a good couple coatings of. I decided not to go the route of using hot glue to adhere this onto the plaque because I was a bit worried it was going to pop off. I feel like the plaque is a little bit warped. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with the wood glue and I'm going to trace each of the letters. I'm going to place it wood glue side down onto my plaque and I'm going to stack a couple books on top of it and let it sit overnight to ensure that it's good and adhered onto, yes, my plaque for my slide plaque stand. You all had to know that I was not going to leave the Let It Snow just the way it was. Of course I'm going to finish it off with some stitching. Some ivory stitching by Waverly, that is. This is the perfect finishing touch to really make this Let It Snow stand out and pop off the plaque a bit. Is it going to take a bit of time? It is, I'm not going to lie to you. But we all love DIYing. We don't always have to be in a hurry, right? Right, take your time and enjoy it. It's relaxing. Look how amazing that looks. Quick, easy, budget-friendly. Let's go take a look at it in the stand. Yes, I love this stand. I love making plaques for this stand. Such a fun series and such fun DIYs that are interchangeable.
Getting started with today's DIY, I will be using Dollar Tree's felt roll. This felt is a bit on the thinner side. It isn't the best quality, but if you double layer it, it works. And so I'm going to go ahead and fold it over to the size that I want because I'm making a banner. You're going to choose what size banner you want your banner to be, meaning how long you want it to be. Once you've got the length, you're going to go ahead and fold it over the top just like so, overlapping the two because this top part here is going to be the pocket in which we place the banner on, I guess, the garden banner hanger from Dollar Tree. You can get them on Amazon too. So you can see here exactly what I've done. I'm going to go ahead and use some hot glue because this is a no-sew project, but if you want it to be sewn, you're going to go ahead and pull out your sewing machine and you're going to sew it. But hot glue works great and it holds up fine. I'm using a high temperature glue gun, so fear not, it is not going to soften up in the heat. It's not hot out anyway and come undone. Once I've got that top part glued, I'm going to go ahead and fold it back over, and again I'm going to place some hot glue on this bottom part here, and again this is going to be the pocket here at the top. So you want to make that pocket big enough to slide that hanger wire through. And we don't want to leave these sides open, so you're going to want to hot glue or sew those closed as well. And you're not going to go the full length up because remember, the top is the pocket, so you're going to stop right below that pocket there on both sides. To the top of this felt, I'm going to be using this burlap. This is actually a burlap runner that you can get at Walmart. It does have this lace on it, but you can see that this lace peels right up, and this is a good quality burlap because it's tightly woven. And I want to say you can get a roll of this for about $3 or $4, which is a great buy. It was one that I've had in my stash that I've been using in other DIYs, so it's going to work perfect for this. And so I went ahead, I cut a piece of this burlap just a bit smaller than the felt itself. So the white of the felt is going to outline the burlap. And I'm just going to hot glue this down onto it. This ribbon here by Crafter Square, it looks a lot like snow. Well, I think it does, and that's what I'm going to use it for. I'm going to cut 2 strips just the size of the burlap itself because the ribbon obviously isn't wide enough, so we're going to make it work because I want it to look like it's snowing. And 2 pieces is just enough. Side by side, it's going to work. Hot gluing it down to the burlap itself. This banner, if I haven't told you, is probably my favorite because the outcome turned out amazing, and it was one that I was kind of stumped on. I wasn't feeling super inspired to do until the last minute when it just kind of came together and it came to me, and now Look at that, it's probably my favorite banner so far to date. To this banner, I will be using these two DIY 3D craft kits. How cute are these? This snowman is adorable, and I will also be using the Santa Claus because it's a Christmas banner. We gotta have Santa. To decorate these or to paint them, I'm gonna be using puffy paint. Of course I am. I love puffy paint this time of year. And so that's what I will be doing. I am not gonna walk through step by step what I do to each of these. I'm just gonna kind of do a time lapse here and just kind of speed up the video, and you can watch as I do it, and you can follow along if you want as well when you're DIYing your 3D craft kit. Why do I love using puffy paint to DIY these? Just look at this. Enough said. I want to say last year when I was doing some of my Christmas DIYs using puffy paint, a few people had told me that once the puffy paint dries, if I kind of ran a heat gun or a blow dryer over it, that it would then puff up. And I don't know if I was misunderstanding it. I had Googled it and tried to do some research on it, and I came up dry. Wasn't finding anything along that line. And so I went ahead and tried to do some research myself and tried to actually dry the puffy paint with heat, which is something I've always done anyway because I like to pop these in the oven just to get them going and dry a bit quicker so I can move along with my DIY, and that didn't do anything. Once it was dry, I went ahead and ran my heat gun over it lightly, and I really didn't see a difference, and I didn't see that it altered the look of the puffy paint at all. And so if I'm misunderstanding and somebody knows how to do this, leave me a comment in the comments below or link me a video in the comments so I can see, because I'm always up for learning new techniques, and you all know I love working with puffy paint. So if it does something that I'm not doing with it, I want to know how to do it. Did that make any sense? You all know what I'm talking about. This here was one of those plaque embellishments that I took off of one of Dollar Tree's plaques that I like to keep in my stash because I love the shape of it. And you can see here that they can easily be painted and added to another DIY. And so I thought it would be perfect to add to this banner. And so I'm going to give it a quick coat of some black chalk paint by Waverly. This banner definitely is in need of some stitching, so I'm going to add some ivory stitching to it because I feel like it just kind of finishes it off. It adds to it, gives it more personality, more character, and if there's a DIY that I could add stitching to, you know I'm going to do it. Just like I can add twine to it, I'm going to add twine to it. And to the banner, I'm going to add this aluminum word, welcome. I want to say that this was in the Fall and Harvest 3-pack. I don't think it was Christmas, but nonetheless, it was in my stash. Gave it a quick coat of some of the ivory paint, and I'm gonna hot glue it right here onto the banner. My favorite part of every DIY is putting it all together. So I'm gonna start off here at the bottom with the trees, and I'm just gonna use some hot glue to adhere this onto my banner, and would you look at how amazing that snow ribbon looks? Tell me it doesn't look like snow. I'm so excited that I found that. You can actually find it in white and blue, but I wanted to stick with white because the blue wouldn't look good on the burlap. And so I couldn't be happier with the way that this turned out. And to think that I had no inspiration for this DIY, and then when it just kind of came to me, it came to me. And did I tell you, this is one of my favorite banners to date that I've done. I found these snowflake ornaments, you know where, at Dollar Tree. They came in, I want to say, a 4 or a 6 pack, and they had them in the red and black buffalo check and the black and white buffalo check. I picked up a couple packs of each, and to these, I'm just going to go over the snowflake itself with some white puffy paint. It would have looked really cool if I had one that had glitter in it, but I didn't, so I'm going to work with what I have and just cover up that wood with some of this puffy paint. I want to say I used 4 for this banner, and I thought that these would be the perfect addition to this. Oh my word, I love this. Let's go take a look at this on the hanger outside. Alrighty, let's dive on into this, and I'm going to start off by showing you the colors that I will be using for today's tiered tray. I will be using some of Waverly's chalk paint in the color of Crimson and Fern. And with that red and green, I will be adding some of this chocolate brown by Hello Hobby. And along with that, of course, I will be incorporating some of Waverly's ink and white chalk paint as well. When I do a tiered tray or several DIYs for a holiday or a season, I tend to stick with the same color. So when I do that, I like to buy these plastic bins that you can get at Michael's. They come in a 3-pack. They have a lid on them, which makes them great. And I like to mix a fair amount of paint, so that way I don't use up all the paint and then I'm left with trying to match up the color again. And what I mean by matching it up is because these colors are so bright, I am going to add, I add brown to it to rustic it up, to kind of mute out that brightness, give it a duller look, darken up that red and that green just a bit. Less is better when starting out adding the brown, because if you add a bit too much brown to red, it can turn out purple. And so you want to start out with just a little, and if you want to darken up that red more, just add bit by bit. And I suggest you do that with the red and the green, but the red, it's a bit more touchy because, like I said, it can turn into purple if you add a bit too much brown to it. Jumping on into these quick and easy DIYs, you can find these wood trucks. Now they're in the craft section. Love it. You know me with trucks. Not going to pass up this. I'm going to go ahead and remove the head because I don't need a head on this. And I am going to give this a good couple coats of the red paint. Where there's a tiered tray, there's an embellishment pack. This is a combination of vinyl and die cuts. These are available in Linda's Etsy store for, guess what? Instant digital download for $2.50. If you want her to cut and send them to you with free shipping, it's going to cost you a whopping $6. You can find the link to Linda's Etsy store, guess where? Yes, in the description box below. So with this truck, I'm not going to walk you through step by step what I do to each of these DIYs, because you can see that I went ahead and did the tires black, added some stitching because I'm going to add stitching because it really finishes it off. And I figured that this would be fun to add some of these trees that you can get at Dollar Tree. And you can see that the embellishment that I picked up for this is a 25. Haha, dun-dun-dunch. I'm going to go ahead and glue this tree onto the back. And I figured a wreath on the front end would be a fun finishing touch. I really thought this was perfect when I saw it, picked it up knowing I was going to use it for this tiered tray, this wood DIY church. So with this, I went ahead and started off with a base coat of white, and for the trimming, I decided to go in with some black. There will be a fair amount of stitching added to this because it just looks too plain, people, without it. You can say that you're tired of the stitching. I'll never get tired of it because I love how much it adds to a DIY. It really does add a lot of personality, and it gives it that quilted look that I absolutely love around this time when doing these Christmas DIYs. And so to this top window up here, I'm going to add a wreath because what else would you put up there? And I figured just to add something a bit more, we'd add some of the mistletoe right above this arch here. Yes. Hope you all picked up these wood sleds when you saw them. Picked up 3 of them because they had 3 different styles, but for this DIY, I'm going to use the solid base here. And again, for this one, I'm going to stick with the black and white theme, doing the base of the sled black, the seated part white, and of course I went in with some stitching, and instead of adding twine, I am going with the black and white gingham ribbon. Yes, I couldn't help it. I love black and white gingham ribbon, especially around Christmas time. Now remember, this is your DIY. You're going to make it your own. You're going to take what you like, leave what you don't. You're going to get creative, and it's going to suit your decor style. I'm doing it to suit my decor style just by simply changing up the colors. It's so easy, and you're going to do that, and it's going to be yours, and you're going to like it more than you like mine, maybe. And to the seated part of this sled, we've got a cute vinyl that says sleigh rides 25 cents. Now, if you can't find the sled, use a plaque and decorate in DIY just a plain rectangle or square plaque that Dollar Tree has. Alternatives, yes. This ceramic truck, yeah, I found it in Utah. So glad I ran across it because I knew I wanted to add it to this tray. To this, I did start off with just a base coat of the red over the entire part of the truck. You can see there, no sense in trying to paint each detail separately because you can just go over it and it's going to make it easier, those elevated parts anyway. Then I'm just going to go back in and add some details. Remember, we're not looking for perfection because sometimes the more imperfect something is, the more perfect it is. Every red truck at Christmas time needs a wreath on the front grille there, and so that is what I'm putting here. You can see that with this, when I painted it, I really just kept it simple, went in with some silver for the windows and the headlights and the mirrors and I guess the fenders and whatnot, and just kept it really simple. And look at how cute it turned out. Christmas equals Christmas lights. How fun are these ornaments? To these, I want them to stand up, and so I'm going to add just a bit of hot glue to the bottom here, and I'm going to attach it to none other than a wood cube, and this is going to make our lights stand up. I'm so trying not to be repetitive. If it seems like it is, it's because it is. There's 2 of these light bulbs. One's going to get a coat of red, and this one here, yes, a coat of green. The base of these light bulbs are going to get wrapped in some of that gingham ribbon. I'm just looking for places to add this because I love it. It'll add just a bit of pattern to a solid DIY, meaning a solid color DIY. Adding some pattern just kind of makes your eye gravitate toward it. And again, it gives it more personality. Where there would be a twine bow, there's going to be a ribbon bow. And Linda came up with a couple of vinyls for this. Merry and Bright. How about this wood Merry Christmas ribbon sign? I like it. Typically, I'd probably be adding some kind of a Scrabble word to it that says Christmas or winter, but because I saw this, I thought this was the perfect alternative to that. To the back of this, I did, however, add 2 of the wood cubes just so it would stand up. I don't show doing that. But yeah, I did do that just so it would stand up. One of my favorite DIYs to add to the tiered trays are those stacked books. Love the look of them, and you can achieve that just by taking a 1x4, cutting it up. I want to say that these are 5 inches long. If you don't have the tools to cut it, ask one of the workers at Lowe's or Home Depot. They will allow you a couple free cuts. And just by painting them and adding a title to the binding, you have got an adorable set of stacked books. I like to add a ribbon to it and top it off with a bow. I was browsing through the ornaments because we all know Dollar Tree has the best ornaments ever for $1. I saw this sled and thought that this would be so fun, but the colors, they don't work for me. So I'm going to make it work for me just by disassembling it and giving it a good coat of some red paint here at the top. And the bottom part is going to get black. I did want to line the inside of the sled. It's these fine details that really take a DIY over the top. And to do that, I'm just using some round cotton. Yeah, why not? And I'm going to make it work. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the red bow, and I'm gonna replace it with my black and white gingham, but I am keeping this, what is this? This branch? What do you call this? I mean, it's a pine branch, a pine decorative piece. Why not? And I'm gonna hot glue this onto the back of the sled and top it off with the bow. On the sides, Linda came up with some cute little embellishments that you can add anywhere on your DIY, and these snowflakes I thought I'd add to the sides of this sled. Yes. So if I'm being honest, I was browsing through my stash in the garage and I saw these salt and pepper shakers and thought, okay, these would make really cute snowmen for the tray. So I went ahead, I painted them, I added the stitching, and once I added the stitching, I wasn't feeling it as a snowman anymore. And so I just decided to just make them simple salt and pepper shakers. If you want to make them snowmen, it would be really easy just to add some eyes, a carrot nose, and a mouth. Michaels has these 24 packs of tags for $1. You can't beat it. They're in my stash. I usually incorporate these into my tier tray because why not? If I have 24 of them, I might as well. It's an easy DIY, and I feel like the tags are just really cute to add. Instead of a twine string, I'm gonna go with the gingham here, again, just to add some personality, add a bit of pattern to it. And the die cut designed for this is from Santa. Now, when I put these die cuts on, I'm not using just a flat tape or hot glue. I am using Dollar Tree's foam tape because I like that elevated look. We can't have a Christmas tier tray without a tree, and this is perfect. It's the perfect size, so I went ahead and gave it a good coat of the green. What other color would I do it? Well, maybe silver if you really wanted to, or white. I'm gonna stick with green. To the detailing, I'm gonna use my white puffy paint. The detailing shows through the paint, so it's pretty easy to follow along. And so just following along with that, I figured I'd add that to the center and to each of the tips of the tree. Whoa, I decided to add just a bit of snow as well, or puffy paint in this instance. Adding berries is easy to do just by taking your paintbrush and just dabbing some dots on there. How fun are these ceramic DIY ornaments? You're getting 2 in a pack. On the top of each of these ornaments, we've got this hole for the string or the hanger. I don't much want it on there, so I'm just taking my wire cutters and gently kind of breaking it off, chipping away at it. Then I'm gonna go in with some sandpaper just to smooth it out a bit. And yes, again, because I want these ornaments to stand up, I'm gonna add one of the wood cubes to the back of each of them. Look at how fun these are. So with the ribbon, if you just add some stitching, it's gonna really make the ribbon pop a bit more than just leaving it a solid color. Yeah, I thought these were fun. Another one of my favorite DIYs to add to each tier tray is the sundae, and you can do it using these mini mason jars that you can find at Dollar Tree. Gave it a coat of the red paint, added some stitching to the neck to disguise it, added some of the gingham ribbon, and Linda's embellishment for this is the warm winter wishes. Love that. Gonna top it off with a bow. Now, when it came to filling this up, I didn't show it in today's DIY, but I went ahead and filled up the empty space in the jar with sand all the way to the top, went in with some caulking to make the whipped cream. Add a paper straw, go ahead and paint it, and some sprinkles on top of that whipped cream while it's wet so it'll stick, and you will end up with this cute sundae here. Christmas time is baking time, right? Dollar Tree has these cute plastic bowls in the party section, so I went ahead and gave these each a coat of the red, green, and white, added some stitching, and I want to stack these. And so just by placing some hot glue in there and stacking them, you can awkwardly stack them, and it really just kind of adds some character and personality to it. And there are a couple embellishments that go on the side of each of these bowls. Oh my goodness, as well. I don't even know what I was gonna say. And to the top of this, I didn't show it again, but I did go ahead and add some sand and filled in with some caulking, and kind of just made it look like a whipped cream that was being mixed in a mixing bowl. For a spoon, just added a popsicle stick. Couldn't get my hands on the ceramic Santa or the snowman, but I saw these metal figurines. colors don't match perfectly, but guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna make it work, and we're just gonna paint over these and make it match our theme. Easy. In this embellishment pack, Linda added a bunch of lights, a bunch of candy canes that you can just place wherever you want. And so I thought it'd be cute to have a candy cane in Santa's hand and a candy cane in Frosty's hand. And this last DIY is a repeat. It's the round stand-up frame. And so I like this one. It was one that I had in my stash. We designed this embellishment that fits perfectly in it. And yes, this is gonna add some height to the tier tray. You want to have things on your tray that are different heights, different shapes. You want to add pattern to it because it really just kind of breaks everything up. And so with this, I am going to finish it off with a gingham bow. Of course I am. And here we have our 2021 Christmas tiered tray. Now, do I expect you all to do each of these DIYs? I don't. I kind of do multiples just to kind of give you an idea, to give you options. You pick which ones you like depending on the size of your tray or where you're putting it. And yeah, it's just to give you some ideas so you can pick and choose what you like to add to your tray. That I can pick a favorite, but I will say that the Christmas tree crate is hands down one of my favorite DIYs. Is it the favorite? I don't know. That sled is up there, and all of those fun tiered tray DIYs. Last year's DIYs are going to be hard to top, but I am feeling inspired for this year. I hope you all enjoyed my top 30 Christmas DIYs. If you're looking for even more inspiration outside of this video, make sure to click on the video right over here and it'll take you to some of my oldie but goodies. Until next time, everybody, I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy crafting on a budget. Stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy, but most of all,